Welcome back to 405 Sports. Today I will be talking about UFC 293, which is a pretty lackluster card to say so myself. So I'm going to go ahead and get right into it. I'm not happy with this card. I'm very disappointed, especially for these fans in Sydney where they are getting a lot of Australian fighters, which is great. But at the same time, it lacks a lot of star power. You know, it's got Adesanya and Tai Tuivasa as star power. And in terms of like people knowing even fighters, I feel like Tai Tuivasa is a superstar in terms of MMA fans. Israel Adesanya is a superstar over the world. A lot of people, non-fans know. Non-MMA fans tune in to watch Adesanya. So, anyways, let's just get right into these fights. Like I said, not very happy with this card, but I can always be happy and thankful to have a UFC card. Israel Adesanya defends his middleweight title for the first time since UFC 281. This is the first defense, technically, and he's the first ever two-time middleweight champion. So, Israel Adesanya defends it against Sean Strickland due to the fact that Dricus du Plessis was not willing to have that quick turnaround for 293. But obviously, if you're Izzy, you don't want to wait all the way from 287 to 300 because let's be honest here, Israel Adesanya is going to be on UFC 300 because he's a megastar, okay? So, let's just be honest. A lot of people are like, oh, everybody's overlooking Sean Strickland. Everyone's, they're underlooking this guy. He's actually going to win this fight. I'm sorry, he's not. And I hope he doesn't because I don't want him as champion for the UFC because he looks like what people think about the UFC. They think it's a bunch of people who just don't care and they, drink beer and watch people fight for a living. No. The sport has respect. It's got a lot of things. Israel Adesanya is going to retain his title in dominant fashion. I mean, dominant. It's not even going to be close. So, I got Adesanya, and hopefully he can get a Dricus du Plessis or Khamzat Chimaev fight at UFC 300. So, Tai Tuivasa versus Volkov. Volkov is the favorite here, just due to the fact that he is a little bit taller than Tai Tuivasa. Not much else to it. Tai took a much-needed break from 2022. He just did too many quick turnarounds. Taking that Gane fight was a little early, which, you can't be mad at him for that one because he had a puncher's chance in that one because, let's be honest, he knocked down Cyril Gane, and he could have finished the fight, but Gane was just able to recover in time. But the Sergey Pavlovich fight, way, way too quick of a turnaround, and he knows it too, and that's okay. So now he learned. He took his time off. Now he's back. It's September. He's been off, about 10 months. That's what he needed. Just relax. He looks good. He looks ready to go. I'm taking Tai Tuivasa with the Australian crowd behind him, and he's going to be able to do a shoey, ladies and gentlemen. Manel Kape versus Felipe Dos Santos. So Dos Santos was supposed to be on Dana White's Contender Series. He was going to be like the main event. He was the big name. He was the big prospect. And obviously, Kai Kara France had to pull out of the fight, which stinks because I love Kai Kara France in my opinion. In my opinion, I just love Kai Kara France. He's a great fighter. He's fun to watch. He's a great guy. Manel Kape. I was up and down with this guy all the time. Sometimes I was like, I like this guy. Then sometimes I was like, I don't like this guy. He overlooked Alexandre Pantoja, so I didn't like him for that because he thought it was going to be an easy fight, and he got dog-walked, right? And then he did what he did to Kai in the press conference where he was throwing bottles at him. I don't like it. He also popped for Turinabol. I never like, guys popping, so there's just that. And I don't know, man. I just can't get behind him. So I'm hoping Felipe Dos Santos can pull off the upset. My brain is picking Manel Kape, but I'm pulling for Felipe Dos Santos. So I hope I get that wrong. Justin Tafa versus Austin Lane. This fight has been seen before by many of people in Jacksonville. Obviously, Austin Lane, I poked him, and that was in his hometown, basically, adopted hometown. And I poked Justin Tafa. Well, in, nice fashion, he says, you know what? I want the rematch with Justin Tafa, but I want to do it in his backyard. So that was really cool from Austin Lane to be able to be like, hey, we were in my backyard. I messed up. Let's go to your backyard now. So I'm going to take Justin Tafa simply off the fact of the Australian crowd, and I think he's going to come out with almost like a vengeance. So Tyson Pedro versus Anton Turkalov. This is a main card opener. A main card opener? Like, what are we doing? I don't know, man. Tyson Pedro, easy win. All right, here we go. Here's a better fight in the light heavyweight division. Carlos Ulberg, who should be ranked in reality, but Carlos Ulberg versus Dan Jung. this fight is literally the Dustin Jacoby fight for Dan Jung. I don't think there's a way for Dan Jung to win, and Carlos Holberg is too much of a heavy hitter. So I'm taking Carlos Holberg simply off of that. He's looked great in every fight. Obviously, he had a tough fight with Kennedy and Zechiku at 259, but he could have won that fight, But at the same time, Carlos Holberg and Dustin Jacoby have similarities in power, and I just feel like it's too much for Dan Jung. So Jack Jenkins is back at UFC 293. He's been on 284, and then he was in UFC Tennessee, I believe. I could be wrong about that. Maybe North Carolina, maybe Jacksonville, one of those three. He was on that card. But then Chipe Mariscal was also on UFC Jacksonville. That's where you might know him. He made his UFC debut versus Trevor Peek. Very, very dominant. He fought him at lightweight, and he looks like a stud. So this is a fight at featherweight. We'll see what that means. I like Jack Jenkins. He's a great prospect. We'll see. I think Jack Jenkins gets the job done, but I think it's going to be a very, very close fight. All right, guys, so that is UFC 293. There's just not much to it, man. It's almost just like this is a lackluster card. It's like an upgraded fight night, maybe. I don't even know if you can say it's an upgraded fight night. It's really not fun when, they announce these big fights and then it's just like, oh, but here's the rest of the card. Now, no, don't get me wrong. I'm always thankful to have a UFC card because the UFC always puts on great fights. But at the same time, your main card needs to be a lot better than Justin Tafa and Austin Lane and Tyson Pedro, So, no offense to those guys. I just don't see them as main card guys, And, we got UFC 294 around the corner, 295. Hopefully we learn what 296 is soon, but it's just a little disappointing when we don't get, great cards. So that's all. Obviously, every card can't be great because let's be honest, we've been spoiled. We have been spoiled this year. 287 was great. 285 was great. 290 was great. 291, 292. Those cards were good. So I mean, we have been spoiled. It's just a little underwhelming whenever, you got Israel Adesanya on a card, but then there's nobody else, It kind of reminds you of like the Conor McGregor card of 264 and 57. It's like, hey, we have like a good co-main. Hey, we have Sean O'Malley and we have Michael Chandler, just between those two cards. But at the same time, it was just like every other fight was just kind of, So, I don't know, a little disappointing out of the UFC, but hopefully it's a good night. I hope it is. UFC 293 is going down. Sunday for them, Saturday here for us. And yeah, thank you guys for watching the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment down below who you think is going to win that main event between Israel Adesanya and Sean Strickland for the middleweight title. Thank you for watching.